So today's video we're going to talk about depression, anxiety, some tools that I've been using, kind of a life update, but also just some new realizations I've had as well. So I'm excited to get into this. For those of you that don't know, I deal with depression and anxiety, and it's heavy sometimes. And I'm learning how to come to peace with it, but I'm also still digging to find answers. So it's an interesting stage I'm in my life. I've dealt with depressive symptoms since about my 20s, but this past, I would say, 6 or 8 months have been the heaviest I've ever had them. And I've been seeking treatment and getting help, and I'm going to talk about all of that as well. But it's been challenging, it's been difficult, and if you're dealing with this as well, I feel you. It's hard. But things have gotten a little bit better, so that's good. That's good news. And I want to talk about what I've been doing to help with these symptoms and talk about the new realizations I've had. It's interesting. I was watching this really interesting show. It was either on Hulu or Amazon. It's about this girl, and she has multiple personalities. She has I think 9 different people living inside of her. And when I start watching the show, I'm thinking, this has to be associated with childhood trauma, like sexual abuse or something really traumatic. Because I don't know a lot about multiple personalities, but I thought, it just doesn't happen out of nowhere. It sounds like it's a traumatic response. So once you get in the second episode, she's like, yeah, most people, she talks about her disorder, and she's a single mom, she's raising 2 boys, she's got 9 different people living inside of her, and they're all nice people. It's not like she has an evil, one of them's an evil menace or something. And she agreed to do this reality show basically to remove kind of the stigma that people have around that type of disorder. So anyways, the show's interesting because in the second episode, she talks about her sexual abuse as a child, and most people with this disorder have sexual abuse. It was really traumatic and really crazy, and she just has no support from her mom or dad, and the husband's not in the picture, her ex-husband, the baby daddy. She's raising 2 boys, and she's got 9 people that just come out when they want, and every time a new personality comes out, she gets this headache, and most of the time she can remember what the other people do, except for when one specific personality comes out, she can't remember anything. So she's struggling with this, and at one point, I think it's further down I think maybe 4th or 5th episode, she's crying in front of the camera. She's crying in therapy, and she's like, I should be able to do this on my own. Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? Why do I get so emotional? And I'm watching this girl, you have every right to cry. You're dealing with all these different people inside of you. You've had crazy sexual trauma as a child. It was really intense abuse. And you don't have a lot of support in your life. I was like, you have no partner to help you. I was like, you should be crying. So whenever I start to get upset or emotional or anything like that, I remind myself of the fact that I have the right to do it, that I shouldn't be just fine trying to navigate this on my own, because what I've realized is dealing with chronic illness and dealing with depression and anxiety and everything that's going on in my life, it's really hard to do on your own. Sure, I have my family, which they're awesome, and I have friends, but to be single while doing this, it makes it a lot harder, and I think that's okay to admit. I think people feel ashamed, no, I don't need a man, I should be able to do this on my own, or I don't need a partner. But I remind myself, Megan, you have every right to cry. Look at all the shit you've been through. Look at all this crap. You have every single right to have a nervous breakdown or a meltdown or just cry it out whenever you need to. And I feel like that shows a lot of compassion, compassion towards ourselves. So remind yourself it's okay. It's hard. It's hard doing this. Even if you have a partner, it's still freaking hard. But it's gotten better. I've been working with this practitioner, and it's really interesting because he has been doing this thing. He is a holistic doctor, and it's called muscle testing. And he's been doing this for a while with me, and I didn't really understand what it was until finally I asked him. I'm like, will you explain this to me? Because it doesn't really make sense. And basically what he does is he has me hold up my arm, and I have to hold it really strong and resist him from pushing it down, right? So you can do that. If you try to push your own arm down, you can keep it from, moving. So he'll do that. And he'll do it every time. He'll focus on different centers of, like, different areas or different organs of my body. So when he does it for my stomach, I try to resist him, but it goes down. My arm goes down. In certain other parts, like my lungs, my heart, and my pituitary gland, I can't resist him. My arm basically goes weak. So what that tells him is that these organs or different parts of my body are weak and they need help. So then what he does is he's like, okay, the stomach, right? The stomach needs something. So he'll grab a supplement and he'll either put the supplement right next to my stomach or I'll have me hold on to it. And then he'll try to push my arm down. And if it stays strong, then he knows that supplement will help my stomach. If my arm goes weak, then that supplement's not going to do anything. It's not going to help. And then he does with how many. So he's like, okay, 1 a day, 2 a day. And as soon as my arm gets strong enough, he knows that that's how many capsules of this supplement that I need to help my stomach. So I'm like, this is interesting, right? So he does this all the time with the new supplements he wants me to try. Because, you can get, I did do some blood work with him, but you can get so much blood work done. And that costs money. But this is working with your innate intelligence of your body, your intuition, basically. And it's phenomenal. And I wanted to figure out if I could do this on my own. I'm like, can you do your own muscle testing? I thought it was so interesting. And you can with your finger. So if you're curious as to, like, you can point to, like, your stomach, your intestine, your heart, lungs, you can, your brain, any kind of center of your body you can do this with to see if it's weak. And then if you want to grab a supplement, see if it makes it stronger, you can do it yourself. So I'm going to teach you how to do it. I hope I explained that. Good. Okay. So you take your pointer finger and you put it out straight like this and you put it out really strong, and then you take your middle finger and you put it on top of your pointer finger. And if you try to resist it, if you try to, like, push down with the middle finger but resist with your pointer finger, you won't be able to push your pointer finger down. Okay? So what you do is you use this and you point to different centers in your body. So I'll show you how it works for me. Okay. So if I do my brain, it goes down. Pituitary gland goes down. Let's do my heart, goes down. Let's do my throat. Doesn't go down. So I have a strong throat. My throat's good. Let's do the intestines. They're strong. Stomach goes down. So basically what happens is this finger becomes weak, and it's correlated to the center of your body, and it shows you, like, that's the area of your body that's weak. So then you grab a supplement. This is my phone, but we'll pretend it's a supplement. And we hold it up to that center of our body. We say, is this, I just, like, say it out loud. I'm like, is this good for my stomach? And then I do the test. I hope I explained it well. You can look it up. Look up muscle testing. I think there's another way you can do it by yourself, but the finger method works so well for me. Yeah, it's been awesome. And that way you can, of course it's good to still go to a doctor and get the professional recommendations, but if you're debating, like, trying a new supplement, and you can't afford to go to a doctor, you can try it, see what happens. Yeah, it's been working great for me. I've also realized that some supplements have this additive called magnesium stearate or stearic acid, and it makes a lot of people sick. A lot of people are sensitive to it, and it makes me really nauseous. So I don't know if any of you guys have a problem with magnesium stearate or stearic acid, but I don't know why I felt like saying that, but maybe that might help you along your journey. It's an additive they use to supplements to help with the machinery. So, like, when they're processing, and making these supplements, they have these big machines that blend the ingredients and put them into a capsule. And a lot of the ingredients will stick to the machinery. So they add magnesium stearate or stearic acid. It's the same thing. And it helps, like, keep the machinery from sticking to the powders. And it's not safe to ingest in a big amount, but small amounts they say it's okay, but it reacts poorly with a lot of people. So I'm not trying to scare you, but some people are sensitive to it. So if you have an issue with becoming sick, taking some supplements, that could be, it took me a long time to realize that. Like, oh, that's why all these supplements made me sick. So another thing I want to talk about is some of the supplements that are helping me. So I never really understood what the pituitary gland did. And the supplements that my doctor's working with, it's a lot of standard process, and they use organs from animals, mostly cows, it seems. Cows or maybe pigs. And what I'm taking now for my pituitary gland is, it's literally pituitary from an animal. And it helps me so much. And if you look up problems with your pituitary gland, it can cause depression and anxiety and all kinds of, because your pituitary releases a lot of hormones, right? So I'm basically taking this capsule, and I decided not to take it this morning. I've been feeling really good all week taking it, but I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I'm going to go to the gym. And I was like freaking out. I feel like I can't breathe, and I'm like, is it because I missed the supplements because I didn't take it? So I get home, I eat some food, and I take it, and within an hour I'm just like, I feel centered, I feel calm, I feel normal, I can breathe, and I'm like, whoa, this is insane. And I only took half of the pill because I'm trying to figure out what the best dose is. So anyways, I'm taking pituitary. I'm also taking these pills for the heart. It's literally made of heart. Lungs, for my lungs, it's made of animal lungs. I'm taking a uterus supplement. It's made from uterus of an animal to help me with my heavy periods. And I'm also taking a liver pill. And I eat liver almost daily. I try to eat it because my liver is weak as well. So all these supplements are really helping me. They're actually making a difference. I mean, I can't believe how much the heart and the lungs have helped me, because I've read about what they can do for people, and they also can help you with your workouts. And I've been running at the gym, and I'm not out of breath. And I just started running. I'm not a runner. And usually I can run like 5 minutes and I'm like dead. I was running, and I ran like 15 minutes the other day, and I was like, I can keep going. I'm not out of breath. So it's like amazing what it's done for my endurance and my stamina. And usually when I try to run at the gym and it's the first workout, usually my lungs hurt. Like the cooler air in the gym, it just hurts until my body gets used to it. I don't have that pain anymore. I can just run. I'm like, there's no pain. I'm like, this is weird. I've had that since I was a kid. I could remember I've had that. When I was a kid in high school in soccer, and it would get too cold outside, and we'd run around, my lungs would hurt. And I thought that was just normal. It's like, oh, everyone must feel this. I don't think they do. So, yeah, I really recommend this. My Standard Process is a company, and they just use lots of different animal parts, and it really, really helps. Also, I don't know if you guys deal with this, if you deal with depression or anxiety, if you ever deal with this, but there are moments where I think, in my head, I have the thought, what's the point? What's the point of doing this? Like, what's the point of cleaning my room? It's just going to get messy. What's the point of going to the gym? Like, what's the point of this? Even though, from a bigger perspective, I get why we're here. I know our souls come to earth to learn, to experience life in a physical form. I get it. But at the same time, there's part of me that is like, what's the freaking point? And I've always kind of asked that question, and I get kind of irritated with myself and irritated with life, and I'm like, what's the point of any of this? What is, especially since what I've realized recently, and this is partly due to my depression and anxiety, is that I've put in so much work in myself, in evolving myself, in healing myself, and I'm still struggling with finances. I'm still struggling to find healthy relationships, and I'm still struggling with my health. So, after 8 some years of putting in so much work, I'm like, what's the point? Even though I've gotten better in a lot of ways, I don't know, it's just that thought sometimes challenges me, and it ruminates in my mind, and it convinces me that there isn't a point to anything. So I challenged that belief, and I said, well, Megan, because I have conversations with myself, because that helps me process things. I go, Megan, what if there is no point? I'm not saying there isn't, but let's just dig into it for a minute. What if there's no point, right? What if there isn't a point? Maybe there's no point to being here except to just live your life. So if there isn't a point, and that theory is true, then sure, you can just sit around all day and watch TV and do the bare minimum, but that's kind of boring, right? It's kind of boring. It's not very exciting. And if you plan to stick around and live your life on Earth, then it's going to suck. Even if that's true, it's going to suck. So what's the point? I think the point is to find things that excite you. Find things that make your life worthwhile, right? And sometimes that can be hard to do. Even for me, I'm like, if I don't have any energy that day, I'm like, well, I'd like to go do this or I'd like to do that, but I have anxiety today and I'm exhausted, right? And it makes it harder. So I get it. But I think it's a good perspective to have. Like, what can I do that's within means that I have enough energy for that can bring some excitement into my life, right? And that's helped me. It's helping me. It's a new thought process. Because honestly, if you think about it, if you think of life as a game, right? We come here to play this human game. We've come here to play Earth. It's kind of like, when you go play a video game. Why do people play a video game, right? Why do they put themselves through that kind of challenge? Because it's entertaining, right? And they don't want to win the game right away because no one would buy the game. No one would buy a game if you won and within 5 minutes they'd be like, well, what the hell? Like, now I need to go buy another game. No, they want to be challenged. They want the game to have levels. They want it to be hard. And they want to feel like they accomplished something and they want to be entertained, right? And I think we can use those concepts when we look at our life. We want to be entertained. I started talk therapy too, which has been helpful. And I was telling my therapist, I was like, I'm going to tell you something. And I feel like it sounds really bad, but I need to say it. I just need to say it to somebody. I need to say it out loud. He's like, go for it. I was like, I feel like everybody lately has been boring me. And I feel like that sounds so bad to say. Like, it sounds kind of cocky or just entitled or something. But I was just trying to be truthful, and I was trying to process this thought I've been having where I feel like everybody in my life, I'm just like the conversations I have when I'm at work or, if I go out with friends, I'm like, I'm bored. And I haven't been drinking, so when you drink, obviously that makes people more entertaining. It makes everything more entertaining, right? So when you're sober and you're out, I'm like, I'm so bored. And after, he kind of helped me process the thought, and then afterwards I was thinking, I was like, Megan, why is it everyone else's job to entertain you? And I told him that the next week when we got on the phone. I was laughing at myself. I'm like, it's no one's job to entertain you. It's no one's job just to come in and be that type of person. I told him, I was acting like I'm some queen, and I'm just like, people need to come entertain me because I'm a queen. I'm like, is it because I've been doing so much self-love? And I've just been putting myself at this higher, like almost up on a pedestal because I've been trying to shower myself with self-love that now I feel like I'm this goddess, I'm this queen, and people just need to entertain me. It's so silly, I know. But it's just a thought. But I was like, yeah, Megan, it's not your job. And maybe everyone's boring you because you're in your life right now. You've been bored. You've been bored with your life. And when people come into your life, they're a mirror of your own life. So people are just mirroring me. So I need to find a way to have more excitement in my life, to find things that light me up, So I'm in the kind of the process to do that. And it can be really hard when you're depressed to try to do things that excite you because sometimes you feel like nothing excites you, right? I'm going to teach you another trick that I learned that I really like. I don't remember who said it, but when you ask questions, and this is like a type of energy work, when you ask the universe questions, your brain will try to figure it out. It'll try to show you the answer. So say I ask the universe, I ask out loud, or you could say the universe or God or higher self, why is my life so amazing? And when you, instead of saying like, I have an amazing life, right? Because that's a good mantra and that's still powerful. But if you say, why is my life so amazing? even if it's not amazing, right? But if you ask that, your brain is going to start to work and find how your life is amazing, and it's going to show you. And you're going to get in this better energy and this better attitude, or things in your life are just going to become more amazing. Or like, why am I always having so much fun? Why do I have so much energy? Why do I feel so good about myself? And I've been doing that every so often. I've been asking these questions, right? Because I'm like, all right, universe, this is what I want to see. And I feel like it's working. I feel like it's helping. And things are starting to come into my life and show me, like, oh, this is why, and that's why, or new things are starting. And it's just been really powerful. So it's like kind of a way to use mantras and manifestation, but with questions. I like it. Try it out. Let me know what you think. Or maybe some of you have tried this method. Comment down below if it's, working out. Also, I told you guys in a video a while ago that I gave up caffeine, and I did so for like 3 months. But I realized recently that I need to bring it back into my life, because if I can have some caffeine and it can get me to the gym and get me started to work out, I know I'm going to feel better. So I'm still just drinking very small amounts. I'm not drinking it every day because, obviously that can increase anxiety and other problems. But I did bring that back into my life, and I'm trying not to let myself feel guilty about it, right? Trying to practice acceptance in that area of my life. Also, I want to talk about the realization I've had this past month of why I'm so depressed and why I'm anxious. Because I think for the past 6 or 8 months, I'm like, why am I feeling like this? I just moved into this new place like 8 months ago. I really like my house. I love my roommates. I like my job, bartending. I love reading tarot. I have an amazing dog. There's all these great things in my life. I'm like, why am I feeling like this? What's going on? And through my meditations that I do these kind of meditations where I kind of have conversations with myself. I put on some like really good music, and I just try to like ask myself, like, why are you feeling like this? Or I ask my body to bring a memory back from my childhood. I try to like guide myself through a process of uncovering trauma, so I can see like where the root of this depression is and anxiety. Because I don't want to mask it. I want to figure it out, right? And what I've been shown is throughout my life, I've had problems with relationships, with friendships, romantic partners, and even work relationships. And they felt really heavy at times. And I didn't really know how to express myself. I didn't really know how to stick up for myself or set boundaries until literally I was in my 30s. So I was taken advantage of a lot. And what I was shown was all of those relationships. And I knew that they weren't healthy. I knew that, but I don't think I understood to the extent of how they've affected me and how I've kind of bottled up all these emotions and kind of assumed. I put a lot of guilt towards myself, because whenever a relationship wasn't working out or something was wrong, I would say it's my fault or I'm being too sensitive. Like, I'm the one that needs to just not be so dramatic. I need to relax. I'm being too much. And I would just point the guilt at myself. And now that I've moved away from that energy, and I don't do that anymore, I was shown how crappy I've been treated in my relationships. And all of that emotional abuse that was done has, of course, manifested in these physical symptoms, but has also led me to this depression and this anxiety, because now I'm learning how to express myself and put up boundaries and do all these good things, but I'm living in a completely different energy than I used to. And now I can see how harmful all of those conversations and interactions I had, and how much they drained me, and how harmful it was. And having this new awareness is a beautiful, beautiful thing, because now I can do this deep inner healing that I need to do. But it's also really heavy and really hard to realize how messed up the interactions I had were, and the relationships. Some of the best friends that I had, how mean they were to me, and how terrible they were to me. And some of the bosses I had that just took advantage of me and were horrible. And And I'm able to see as well where it stems from in my childhood and my parents' relationship. They don't have the best relationship. And I don't want to get to specifics of it, but when I would see my parents interact and it wasn't healthy, I thought that was love and that was right. So I manifested that kind of interaction in all of my relationships. And I really, really saw it with my last boyfriend. We broke up about a year ago. We dated for a year, and towards the end, my intuition really opened up and my awareness peaked, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally living my mom and dad's relationship with this person. He was doing the same things to me that my dad did to my mom. And I was like, oh my God. I was so grateful for that awareness. So I could finally break that cycle and finally stop attracting those type of men or those type of people. But when you have a new awareness, it's a blessing, right? It's an opportunity for growth and to move past this kind of abusive cycle I've been in. But it's also hard. It's hard to be aware of that and to kind of start to understand it and accept that that's what's happened. Because then all of these feelings come up of like anger. I'm angry that I let those people treat me like that. I'm angry that my dad treated my mom like that. I'm angry that my mom didn't know how to create a space for me to be able to express myself. I'm mad that all of these, guys took advantage of me and made me feel small and stupid and scared. I'm mad that these friendships came into my life that were not helpful or supportive and made me feel like I was being too emotional and stupid and shaming me and making me feel guilty. There's this anger inside of me, and I don't know how to express anger very well. And I'm learning. I'm a crier, so I cried out a lot, but to feel anger for me is like the hardest energy to feel. Because when I look at things, I'm like, well, holding anger is bad, so we should just forgive people. We should just practice forgiveness. And yes, that is true, but sometimes you have to take the steps to get there. And that's what I'm learning. Because sometimes I just want to rush to forgiveness and say, okay, I forgive them. Then I don't have to feel that pain. I'm just going to forgive them right away. But I'm realizing, like, Megan, I don't think that's the way it goes. I think you need to feel in that pain and that anger and release it, and then you can get to the forgiveness. And I think when you've dealt with years and years of trauma, you have to put that in perspective that it's going to take some time. It could take a year, it could take 2, it could take 3. I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out how to let it out. How to just release it. And I figured making this video would be part of that process, and talking about these things would help me release some of it. Because it's hard. I'm like, do I scream? Do I yell? I've never been one to get angry. But there are things I'm definitely angry about. And you can look at that with your own life. Keep digging. Because if you are dealing with depression, anxiety, or, chronic illness, or any kind of symptoms, it stems from some type of trauma, some type of abuse. Okay? And sometimes it can take a while to see it. If it was really obvious when you were a kid that your dad hit you, right? Beat you up. Then you grow up and you would quickly learn that that's not okay, right? Because people would be like, hitting people is bad. But when the abuse is really subtle and really just, I don't want to say subtle because it still has a big impact, but it's just not as noticeable, right? It's like when you date a manipulative narcissist, which I've had lots of experience with, and they just manipulate you, and they're very smart, and they act like they love you, and they shower with you love, but they also kind of make you feel stupid and shame you and make you feel guilty and, always play the victim. Then it's harder to see. It's harder to know that that's abuse. Because they wear you down emotionally. And like if you get sucked into a cult, it's kind of like that, right? At first, the cult is really empowering and awesome, and you're feeling better about yourself, and you're energized, and you're making these soulful connections. And then after a while they start wearing you down, but then you think about the beginning, you know, how amazing it was and how great it was, and you're like trying to get back to that spot, but then they're just kind of wearing on you and making you feel small and powerless. I think one of the biggest things I've learned in this healing process and this growth is learning to trust my emotions and not shove them down and say, oh, you're being too much, Megan, you're being too dramatic, you're being over the top, or like, calm down. Like, I don't do that anymore. I validate my emotions and I get space for them. And I tell myself, if I am having a hard time feeling something, I tell myself out loud, right now I'm creating a safe space for you to feel your emotions, and I'm not going to judge you. I'm putting judgment away. You can feel everything. I want you to cry it out. I want you to do whatever you need to do to feel the feelings that you didn't allow before. And I'll give myself that space. And I practice patience, right? Because you can't rush that. You know, sometimes I'll say that intention and it won't come out for a few days. Sometimes water works right away. And it's like, oh, okay, yep. And I have all these realizations, and I'm like, oh, this was a crazy realization I had in meditation. I'm going to share you a story. So I used to have this reoccurring nightmare when I was a little girl, and I had night terrors when I was a kid, like really bad. Like I would wake up the whole house just screaming bloody murder. And the night terrors I didn't remember, but I would have these nightmares. And it's going to sound silly, but bear with me. There would be a monster in my closet, okay? This monster would grab me off the bed, pull me into the closet, and this felt so real because it was like my bedroom. I felt him pull me off the bed, drag me across the carpet into the closet, and he would tickle me. He was the tickle monster, okay? He would tickle me. Now, mind you, I hated being tickled as a child. I was not a fan of it. I didn't like it. I have a very sensitive body, so I couldn't breathe when I was being tickled, and that terrified me, so like not a fan of being tickled. But in my dream, I had this thought, and I wouldn't open up my eyes because I didn't want to see what he looked like. But I had this thought that if I don't react to being tickled, like if I don't laugh, if I pretend I'm asleep, if I pretend like it's not affecting me, the tickle monster will put me up back on the bed and leave me alone. Okay? So all those years I would have this nightmare. I never knew what this tickle monster looked like. I just had to hold back my emotions when I was being tickled. Right? And this is like a belief that I formed. I realized through meditation that I did that as a child. I held back my emotions. I was terrified of feeling anything, of expressing the anger, the frustration. I was terrified of that because I saw that when my mom did that to my dad, he would either shame her, laugh at her, or get mad at her, or ignore her. So to me, I was like, oh, we shouldn't do that because that's bad, and we'll just feel guilty, and we'll feel bad. And my mom's being too sensitive, and I just need to not be so sensitive. Even though I was a very sensitive child, very sensitive. So all those feelings, I would just repress and ignore and shove away. And I'm like, oh, that's why I had that nightmare. Because I thought that holding back the emotions would keep me safe. Right? The tickle monster wanted nothing to do with me if I didn't react. He didn't get mad. He didn't try to hurt me. He just stopped tickling me and put me back in my bed. And that dream I had, I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old, around that age. And it took me until my 30s to understand what that was about. It's crazy. It's wild. So yeah, I think with a combination of working with these organ supplements and my doctor, he's also a chiropractor, so I get adjusted as well, which really helps. I'm also on these supplements to like strengthen my ligaments and my bones, because I kept having a rib that popped out of place. It has been staying in for now, but I kept having a rib, and the rib would pop backwards and poke into my back, and I had back pain. But that's been way better. So I'm on this supplement regimen to help strengthen my body and strengthen my organs, and the pituitary supplement is like amazing. I mean, it's a night and day difference. I think I was taking too much at first, but now I feel like I've gotten a good idea of what my body needs and how much of it. So between that, working with the talk therapist, which is really, really helpful for me talking through all of this. Getting to the gym and working out more has helped. I was trying to do these like circuit workout classes, but they were just way too high intensity for me, and I needed something more gentle. So I got a gym membership with a sauna. I love the sauna, so that's been really helpful. I'm still eating really clean. I make most of my own food, which I've gotten used to now. When I first started doing it, it was so frustrating to me and such a pain, but I've gotten a lot better at that. And then doing the meditations. And when I say I do my own meditations, most of the time I'm not silent. I know most people think like, oh, when you meditate, you're silent. For me, it's more of talk therapy. It's having like a really calm, I'm either kind of like guiding myself with like light, golden light, relaxing my body if I just need to calm down, and I use a voice, or I have a conversation with myself and I'm like, okay, why are we feeling this pressure today in the chest? Let's talk about it. Is there anything that needs to come up today from my past that will help, that I need to feel, that I didn't feel then? Because I'm giving myself a safe space, and I do this a lot, and I get new realizations and new memories that come up a lot, and it's helping me because I feel like I keep being reminded by my spirit team and my higher self that, you know, it's like layers. It's layers of trauma, of emotions that I haven't released, and I'm releasing them one by one. It's like every time I have a good cry and I'm feeling that pain, I release a layer. And it's kind of just like uncovering these layers, and I have to remind myself too that it's really intense when you do this, so I can't be doing it every day. I can't. It's too exhausting. So, you know, do it when it feels right. I follow my intuition, and I try to also throughout the day lift myself up too, with words of encouragement. Like, you're doing a good job, Megan, I'm proud of you. Like, just reminding myself of how far I've come and how strong I am, and that helps keep me encouraged as well. So everything is working. This week has been better. This past week has been better. Especially with this pituitary gland supplement. It's crazy how much it's working. But yeah, try the muscle testing. Let me know if it works for you guys. Look into it. Read about it. Because I think this is amazing. Like, the fact that he did the muscle testing and then I came home, learned how to do it, and my results were the same as his. Because I was like, pineal gland. My pineal gland is good. My pituitary gland is weak. So is my brain. My throat's good. My heart and lungs are weak. I think my pancreas and my gallbladder are good. But my liver is weak and my stomach, and then my intestines are good. And then my vagina is weak too. So, yeah. So I'm, working with these probiotics and these other supplements and slowly putting me back together. And I feel like when you're dealing with depression, anxiety, chronic illness, you have to kind of make sure you're dabbling with all these different types of therapy. Seeing what works right for you, because some of the stuff that's working for me may not be best for you. But I can really see a difference now. I thought, I have the whole video about when I was plant-based and vegan, and I thought that was the way, but I really don't believe that anymore. I think that plant-based can be good for a short period of time with people that are dealing with like high cholesterol, but other than that, I don't feel like it's a good permanent diet for anybody, and I really believe in. And the other thing that's cool too is I always wanted to know what blood type I was. So my doctor looked to see what blood type I was, and I'm O positive, and he was like, "You were vegan?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's the worst diet for your blood type. That is the worst." I thought that was interesting, and I was like, he's like, for O positive, you need to be eating more of a paleo style, and that has been way better for me. So I guess too, it kind of depends on your blood type, but I don't know. I think everybody needs at least a little bit of animal products in their life, because literally my rib started popping out of place, and my hip wouldn't even stay in place. Nothing would stay. in alignment when I was vegan. And now that I'm eating animal products, like I just feel like everything's stronger and more aligned and like staying where it's supposed to. Like my neck is better, my hips are better. My right hip used to always be, if you looked at my hip bones, it was always up, and then I would get adjusted, go back down, and go back up. It would be painful, be really painful. Same with my rib. It would get put in place, and then I would start stretching or something, and I would feel it just go and then my back would be in pain, and I was like, oh my god, I felt like I was like 80. But now everything's staying together with the help of this supplement. It's called Ligaplex by Standard Process. So I'm taking that with like a lot of calcium and magnesium and other minerals so minerals have been really good for me as well. All right, I feel like I talked about everything. Is there anything else? No, I guess that's it. I am starting a book club, like a spiritual book club soon, which I'm really excited about. And I picked up a second bartending gig, so I feel like that'll be really good for me because I feel like sometimes I just sit around at home too much, and I need to... It's hard for me to get motivated sometimes to make videos and make content, so I think for now, at least in my life, I can get more motivated if I have to be somewhere and have a job like that versus just kind of being home. I need to get out of the house more, so I think that'll be really good as well. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for sitting through this with me, and I hope these tools and tips have helped you. Maybe if you want to comment, I would love to hear from you guys. I love hearing from you. Even if I don't always respond, like it really means a lot to me. It means so much that I have your support through this, and yeah, take care.